Hello, everyone, and welcome to Know Gimmicks with JT and Brady. I am one half of your hosted tag team, JT, and with me, as always, the ultimate babyface and part-time heel, Brady.
That's me.
My man. It's the podcast. We're here.
Finally.
All this time, we've been talking about it, so we're finally launching a podcast. So we're going to tell everyone a little bit about who we are, what this podcast is about, give a good introduction, and hopefully bring, some pleasantries to everyone's ear holes and probably annoy a few folks. But, I mean, that's what every good wrestling podcast needs is a baby, heel, and face. And We're like Big Show, man. Strap a clicker on my back and you can change it from heel to face every week. You never know what's going to happen.
Yep.
So tell everyone, the good listeners, a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and and maybe hone in on what you know about wrestling and your background with it.
Oh, man. Well, Brady, of course, talked about that already. But work in retail, so I got a pretty boring job, Don't got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, started watching wrestling whenever I was a kiddo with my dad. Started in the WCW days, man. Monday Night, Raw, and then Nitro.
NWO guy?
No, man. I was never an NWO guy.
I know that. That's just for context.
Yes. Hated the NWO. I can tell you my favorite time, just growing up is the Monday Night Wars. So it's kind of where I got my start.
Okay, yeah. And then me, like I said, I'm probably going to be the least favorite of this tag team duo, JT. So I was thinking about this the other day before we started, Brady, and I was like, what is my first memory of wrestling? And what I came to realize is I've literally divulged into wrestling history so much that I can't remember when I actually started. Like, I don't know if I actually watched WrestleMania 14, but I know, essentially, in case you can't tell, number one, forever and always. That's why his belt's a little closer to you, in case you can't notice that. That's why he's in the background right here. So I've been watching wrestling, I could say, at least since WrestleMania 14. And one of the most vivid memories I have, my grandfather hated wrestling. His dad loved it. My dad loved it, but he hated it. He actually put wrestling on for me at his house. And it was the episode of Raw where Stone Cold had Big Show pull down the Titantron. So I know I've been watching wrestling somewhere around that long. Just regular Joe working a regular type of job, but I dedicate my Monday and Friday nights, and used to be Sundays and now Saturdays, to PLEs. I've been doing so for, that's 97, so that tells you how long we've been in the game here.
Yeah, man. I can't remember the first WrestleMania I watched, but I know for certain that the one I recall is WrestleMania 17. That was the very first true. I know we sat down and purchased that pay-per-view. So
that's fair. That's a unique. I can't even tell you the first time I remember sitting watching it at my house, but
man,
it's been a constant.
Yes, and that was back in the day whenever you had to drag a phone cable from the dish box and plug it into the wall, to order a pay-per-view, and you had to make sure you did it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So you try to do it whenever it was time to go live, and shit didn't work. So
yeah, that's fair. And speaking of that, so if you can't tell, if you didn't catch a hint, obviously this is going to be a wrestling podcast, and we're going to talk a little bit about our personal lives and where it comes from. And I think what you're going to find is that we relate to each other not only as people and human beings, but it was wrestling that brought us together. I'm not going to steal someone else's gimmick, because if there's one thing we know gimmicks, and talk about bringing people together through wrestling. But what I will tell you is that it's funny how we can watch what happens on TV, or we can watch what happened in the past and we relate it to our situations. And we'll save favorite wrestlers and all that for another episode. But again, who doesn't want to flip off their boss and 10B CEO? Who doesn't want to?
Sorry to interrupt, but man, us in middle school going around telling each other to suck it. Yeah,
So in other words, if you got sent to the principal's office for middle fingers, the DX cross, or maybe even the old Undertaker, chances are this podcast is going to be for you.
Yep, for sure.
So, going to work out the kinks on how we want to do this, basic flow of the podcast. But moving towards our kind of orientation, talking about what we're going to do throughout this episode and setting up for the future here. This is episode number 1. This is it.
That's just the pilot.
I don't want to acknowledge nobody because I don't. You know what? I don't want to turn listeners off.
Do
Just
we
know
edit that?
maybe they probably cut that out, but I'm not saying that we the ones. We'll just leave it at that. So, episode number 1 as a snapshot in time to you all today. While I was recording this pod, is Saturday, January 18th, and we're going to be reviewing the past week of wrestling. And when I say wrestling, I'm going to be dead up honest with you. It's WWE, and we probably won't even get into NXT most of the time. It's just going to be main roster, and then divulge from there.
Maybe some like bigger stories from other companies.
I mean,
but our main
Sure.
attraction,
yeah. I mean, you can't ignore what's it's 2025 now.
Yeah.
I can't scroll through whatever social media, and I can't help but see what AEW's doing. We were just talking earlier. John Bradshaw Layfield's been popping up everywhere. So
Yeah.
when JBL pops up, I get a notification. I'm surprised you don't. So, but yeah. So, like I said, we're going to talk about a little bit of Raw, a little bit of SmackDown, and just kind of go over what we liked, what we didn't like. Again, no experts here. We longtime fans. We're just going to enjoy essentially what started as a friendship, calling each other and talking for anywhere from 10 minutes to 2 hours.
Yeah.
And we're just going to put it out there for y'all to listen to, and then who knows, maybe we'll get some of y'all involved, take call-ins or polls and whatnot. But it should be an interesting ride. Speaking of that, what are the top stories you've been seeing going around? We'll start off with that. Before we dig into Raw and SmackDown, what is hitting the wrestling world right now? What are you seeing on social media, or what's a buzz?
Well, the biggest thing right now is, obviously the Rumble. What's going on,
Yep.
Who's going to be the surprise entrances? I've heard several things.
Do you think I think we're past surprise entrances.
You think so?
I mean,
the last real, true surprise entrance was Edge.
So, yeah, I mean, again, it's 2025. Look me in my peepholes and tell me Joe Hendry's not an automatic lock-in.
No, he's not.
Now, I guess with that, the top story, one of them is TNA and WWE hitting that massive partnership where they can go, and again, WWE can go to, which I saw one, and it's NXT. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, where do they draw that line with something like the Rumble?
So I think the way I understand it is TNA superstars are going to be able to cross into all the brands, but Raw and SmackDown members aren't going to TNA. So you're going to get to see, like, for instance, that Rumble when we had Mickie James come from TNA as the Knockouts champion in the Rumble. We're going to have something similar to that.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's going to be, overcrowded with TNA. Maybe one or two.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of star power in WWE in this Rumble already. So.
Oh yeah, this is a big one.
Huge.
Oh, Big Match John coming back.
Yes. I mean, dude, could you ever imagine in 2023 that we're going to have John Cena, Randy Orton, CM Punk, all of these guys all in this Rumble?
So, you say that, but that was the Rumble 7 years ago. I mean,
well,
minus a few, right?
Yeah, but it's 2025, and all of these guys, were huge early 2010. 2011, that's 15 years removed.
Was that part of the question that they need to get out of the way?
I don't know.
I mean, they're making money. They're selling. They're drawing money.
Yeah.
The old adage is, putting asses every 18 inches.
Yeah.
And I mean, nowadays it's like 11 and a half inches in those stadiums.
Yeah. Whenever we went to that Monday Night Raw, man, we were, just packed in.
I mean, nut the butt up in there.
So,
all right. So that's one of the big stories. Let's see, what else have I seen? So, I haven't seen too many other big stories popping recently. I don't know. I mean, again, the biggest thing for me is that JBL tie-in with TNA and all that. Right. I don't know that we can go any further than that.
I mean, he's going to show up on Monday Night Raw.
He will be, which we will be at Monday Night Raw in Dallas.
Live in living color.
Yep. So, stay tuned for that. I think we're going to get some good products out of that. So no real other big top stories at the moment. And I know it's kind of similar, but what are the dirt sheets telling you? Because I know I've been seeing on Facebook the predicted winner for the Royal Rumble.
Well, I mean...
And they all say that it's, I'm not going to say who it is because I refuse to accept it.
No, I want to hear. Say it.
All of them are saying Roman Reigns.
Oh, well, yeah, because Roman wants his title back. But in order to get his title back, he has to go one of two ways. Has to either win the Rumble or he's got to win the Chamber.
Now, I'm gonna be upfront and honest. Here, we're gonna stay out of dirty politics, clean politics. We're gonna stay out of troublesome things when it comes to the real world. But I did see a couple alleged spoilers that the Beast Incarnate is going to eliminate Roman Reigns.
Yeah, they talked about that last year, though. And here's the deal. Now that
Everyone's saying Braun took his spot last year.
Now that
Braun Breaker, that is, not Strowman or Bronson Reed. The Braun and Braun show.
Yeah, got it. Here's the deal with that. All the allegations have been cleared, other than with the one, Janelle. So maybe Brock's name is finally out of it all. And if it is, then here we go.
Is what it is, ain't what it ain't.
Do you feel, though, that we truly need Brock Lesnar back in WWE? Because I don't. I think it would be great, but he's not needed.
I mean, you're talking to the wrong guy here, because it's one of those things. It's like, as a man, right? Like, do you need an extra machine gun? No, but you're going to get one. Do we need an 85-inch TV when you have a 75? No, but I'm going to want one. Like, right. I don't know that. So I guess my thing is I don't think we need Lesnar. I personally don't want, but I'm not against it. So what do you think the want is there? Like, because again, they built him to be the modern day Andre. He's an attraction now. Here's
the deal with that, though. Are you ready for another feud with Roman and Brock? Because we had how many WrestleManias?
Well, so you say that, and sure, he might eliminate Roman, but they never. So again, the sheet I saw never saw that was a storyline. But will Brock Lesnar sell a ticket? That's the next piece, right? Like, I don't know what WWE's hot streak was selling out. Like, both shows this week were sold out for TV. They keep announcing gate after gate, sellout. So, and breaking records. So, again, if it gets to the point where they did like they did for WrestleMania 32, where they were selling $20 standing room only seats, and Brock Lesnar sells 10 more seats, why not?
Why not?
Yeah. So, all right, and then wrapping up, kind of that's the dirt sheets and main stories. Else in the wrestling world, we saw an announcement. Becky Lynch getting the spot on Happy Gilmore 2.
And Star Trek.
Yep. Yeah.
That's wild.
Don't know if you hear this goofy accent. Y'all, I'm a nerd, but it don't run that deep. All right? Like whatever that thing is, right?
Yeah.
I only did that because it's part of a drinking game. We'll save that for behind the scenes. But, yeah, so I didn't hear that one. So she's going to be an alien now.
Yep. I don't know what her role is.
I mean, she's a redhead. No offense to any of you sweet, loving gingers out there who's trying to steal my soul.
But, yep, she landed that role in an episode of Star Trek, and then also Happy Gilmore 2, which I'm on the fence about. I love Happy Gilmore. It's one of my favorite movies in the world, but,
We'll let someone else's podcast cover entertainment.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah. But it's still cool. She's moving on from the wrestling world. I'm super excited to see her back, though.
Yeah. And then, I guess if we're going to talk related content, it's John Cena's retirement.
Yep.
That's, I guess, another big story. But at the same time, I'm assuming that means we're not going to see John Cena in any movies anytime soon.
Well, not this year, at least.
Yeah.
However, how do you feel about John Cena's 17th run?
How do I feel about a Cena 17th run? So based off some of the interviews that I've seen for Triple H or read about, everyone's saying that John's not that guy. He isn't out there to do it, and I think that puts Paul, Triple H, Mr. Levesque, whatever we want to call him nowadays, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Mr. Stephanie McMahon. It puts him in an interesting spot, right? Because he's tight with Rick.
Yeah.
But do you give back to John? Do you want to see that record broken? That's...
Oh, well, okay. Sorry. Let's play back into this big news. The big news, did you see that apparently Ric Flair is going to be a part of the Royal Rumble in some capacity? Did you see that?
Look, I don't know what... let's face it, on the first Netflix, here come main event Jey Uso with a dude smoking a joint beside him. So Ric Flair's trying to get that money. Maybe he's going to come out and smoke a joint with Jey Uso. I don't know. But again, he's a legend, right? It's Ric Flair won't sell a ticket, but what I think something wrestling's always been good at, and I think Triple H is trying to capitalize on, is the generational gap. So if 12-year-old Brady is sitting there watching wrestling, and 35-year-old, how are you again?
35.
Yeah, God, I'm good. God, you look good for 35.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. If, a 35-year-old dad, Brady, hears that conversation, he's going to tune in, and even though it's the same household, that may be the trick to get him back into wrestling.
Right.
Or even if he sees the announcement, it could work backwards. He's going to tune into the Rumble because he's got Peacock or Netflix or whatever streaming service at the time. And that now his son, grandson, however old, is going to see that. That's where Ric Flair, and that's why those legend contracts, I think, are so valuable.
For sure. Yeah. I agree.
All right, so that kind of covers all the stuff outside of what's actually happening on the product. So Raw this week on January 13th came to us from San Jose, California at the SAP Center. And again, sold out.
Completely.
Right off the rip. I'd never seen that arena, and I was texting you, Darren. I thought the LEDs and the chairs were a huge, huge part of that for me.
Yeah.
That was very appealing to the eye.
Was that not at the Intuit Dome?
They said it was the SAP Center.
For the first Netflix?
Or no, I'm sorry. That was first Netflix, so it was missing this week. So that was missing this week, and I noticed that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was huge. And
oh yeah, dude, man, and now I honestly thought there's an app that you download when you go to WWE shows. It's a WWE Lite app where when you are in the show, it'll tell you on the big screen, apparently, to open your phone and open the app, and it lights the arena with everybody's phones.
That's neat.
It is neat. I downloaded the app, so we're going to give it a try.
So again, we've been to a few shows together. We actually met through wrestling. Stay tuned for that story at some point coming in the future. But when we went to WrestleMania, Naomi came out. Mm-hmm. Everyone on the floor by the entrance ramp got the clothes. So we got a set, and I think I threw them away because, spoiler alert, I think Naomi's trash. Yeah, we'll cover that one. I don't mean she's not trash. That's rude. I can't go that far. I just think that she could go back down to NXT and possibly do well.
Right.
I don't even know that she could stay as a champion. She couldn't go down and pull a Finn.
Yeah. No doubt.
So again, what I did notice coming off of the Netflix debut is at the Netflix debut, they had a 360 arena with a short stage. That's gone this time. There's a curtain or something up. I don't know if it was actually an extra tall screen or just, so it's kind of reminiscent of the old days, but I'm kind of digging the new setup.
Yeah.
I made the notes. It's just a banner, but it does have some lights in it. And then that drone coverage, look, I'm just going to tell you right now, nothing personal, but that drone, fuck AEW. Straight off the rip, man. Yeah. Like, that is the coolest thing to watch it fly from the outside.
Yep.
Of course, they block traffic inside, and then it shows the whole arena slap full. So WWE, sure, they blocked out an eighth of the arena.
Well, for the camera.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I mean, but that's a packed house, though.
Dude, yeah, 15,000 easy.
I mean,
in every arena.
And you can't, I mean, as much as I love wrestling fans, I'm right there, but you know that place smelled like hot dog water in Mom's basement. I mean, that thing was slap full.
Yeah. And Dallas is going to be no different. We haven't had a Dallas show in a year, since March of last year, so almost a year.
Oh, yeah, you were at that one.
I was at that one.
Yeah, that was a historic Raw run where you went to like 3 Raws in a month.
Yep, it was.
It
was two in a row because we went to Oklahoma City and sat on the floor, and then I went to the next Raw.
Sweet plug for myself. If you watch that Raw and you have really good audio, like Dolby Atmos, I think you can actually hear me say that Damien, and I screamed it at him, and it was hilarious because everyone just turned and looked at me like I'm a dumb redneck. Kind of fits the bill. Go Dogs. I literally screamed. I literally screamed at Damien that he washes his hands before he wipes, and everyone's just like, "What did you say?"
Yeah, he kind of cocked at you a little bit.
So we open with Punk, like driving up. Well, we don't know it's him. The vehicle drives up, and Punk gets out and walks in the ring. So now they're showing Gorilla and all the behind-the-scenes stuff, which you hardly ever saw. I mean, we've gotten glimpses of it before, but again, something else that Triple H has done since he started. He comes out, he talks about John, he declares for the Rumble, and of course, the continuation, we get Seth coming in.
Yep.
Again, a very open kimono. I'm not a CM Punk fan. You know what? I'm gonna admit something to you right now.
All right.
And this has never been said to your face, and so it's gonna be weird. I think I like CM Punk.
Okay.
But I hate Phil Brooks.
And that's okay.
You know, that I try to keep it that way. I try to separate it. They're on there for a reason, job. It's no different than anybody else, big time. But the character, I've welcomed back with open arms. But Phil Brooks, I still got a little about me. So,
and that's okay. I mean, it's respectable. I mean, there's a fine line between human and character. So
1,000%. But I'll tell you this, he can work a mic,
dude. He's, I think, on top.
And the subtle things of when he was leaned over, and I guess you can't hear it in the arena, but he's looking at the announcers, and he's like, why can't I be interrupted by Rhea Ripley?
Yeah.
Like, that is absolutely out of control. So he comes down. Rollins talks about the loss last week against him was the worst in his career, really selling it up. I know we're talking about this Raw, but going back, man, what a fire interaction. And those dudes just roasting each other on the mic the week before.
Man, then they were, going down deep, man.
Yeah.
Down deep.
Bro, dirty.
Yeah.
Dirty. And I love it. God, I love it. And then
let's talk about the match, though. Like, I know we're going back, but man, even the first, Punk versus
good main event for the first Raw on Netflix.
100%. And I was honestly worried that we were going to get that first and then have Roman come on last, which thank God, in my opinion. Yeah. And I've already kind of been roasted about that. But man, could you imagine just Punk and Seth going on first, and then us getting that long, drawn out, winded, Rock segment at the end with Roman, like. Fuck all that, man. I'm over it.
We can deep dive into that. I think, and again, the bad part about that is that was SmackDown business being handled on Raw.
Yeah.
But I'm interested. I'm keeping an eye on that to see how that goes, because I think that's going to turn into something. But so they get interrupted by Drew. He trash talks Seth instead of CM Punk. Whatever. Punk just says, "I'm fighting both of you." That's great. And then McIntyre declares for the Rumble. And something I wanted to note, because the big talk was the timing on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert, it didn't go 3 hours, which has a lot of people feeling certain ways. But that whole opening took 20 minutes. How do you feel about like, you think 20 minutes is... I think 20 minutes is a magic mark, personally.
I mean, and that gave it plenty of time to tell it, to tell its story, get the build out there. It didn't feel rushed at all. I think that promo was great for all three of them. So the timing for Monday Night Raw, I was kind of peeved whenever it was 9:30. Yeah, at 9:30 and it cut off. I even looked at Nicole and I was like, what the hell, man? Like, I expected something else to happen after. Yeah. But yeah, it was done and over. The segments are fine.
I'm not mad at it, right? It's one of those things like, I'm not going to go all mental health on everyone, but part of the reason why we as humans love knowing how, we have this thing where we have to be in control. Whether you do or don't, or you have to have something you're comfortable with. So I think getting out of that comfort zone without it being announced that Raw wasn't going to be the full 3 hours, which I've been team 2 hour show forever. I'm not against a 3 hour show, but sometimes it's just,
they drag.
Oh my God.
Like, you get through the first hour and you're like, oh my God, it's just now 8 o'clock.
So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think being able to go, again, dirt cheap, 40 minutes to 3+ hours may be good. I mean, I would say that and I don't know, but
as long as the show is steady paced, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Whenever you have a 3 hour show to fill on Monday Night Raw, it sometimes drags out because they just literally do not have the content needed to fill the gaps. You know, they're making matches that should have been 4-minute matches into 15-minute matches.
Well, but again, here we are. We're pumping up for the Rumble, hitting the road to WrestleMania. If you're going to run a 3-hour show, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that, like I said, that segment was 20 minutes, and we're finally getting ready for our first match of the night. Do you just again? I don't know how close you're paying attention. Do you know what the first match of the night?
Dude, I can't recall.
It is Chad Gable versus a mysterious opponent
that they spoiled on Shop earlier in the day.
What do you mean spoiled on Shop earlier today? We've been knowing this dude's coming for months.
Okay, right. But, in my opinion, you don't put the merchandise out for somebody who is mysterious.
Well, but they announced his name 2 weeks prior.
See, but I don't remember that. So I guess...
Yeah, 2 weeks prior, because they've been showing it, and they've been showing the mask, and it was like they were filling in gaps. And then 2 weeks prior to this episode, they finally said Penta. And so we're like, Raw on Netflix. Here he comes. Again, going back to the Dirt Sheets piece, allegedly he got cut. And that's been the running joke. Like, welcome to WWE, the professionals. You already got Triple H. You show up and got the shovel. They cut you right off of the biggest show of the year.
Yeah.
But again, and to that point, so I literally wrote in my notes, Gable versus question marks. And then... no shit, ... It's Penta. And Michael Cole called it the worst kept secret in the business.
Right, yeah. I mean, come on.
I mean,
I expected it to honestly be a situation, you remember when WrestleMania 38 was here and you had Seth Rollins, right?
Yeah.
It was a bad kept secret, but
we were all
his name was never said. So there was no merch, there was no anything until after the match happened. So yes, and that, in my opinion, that's the way you have a mystery opponent.
Sure.
So,
but let me tell you, whatever happened, what a phenomenal that match.
Oh, dude,
I'm here to tell you right now that automatically, and I'm calling it right now. Slammies this year, that will be
a candidate for
match of the year. I mean, it was old school. And I'm one of those guys, like, I watch some of these younger superstars do all this weird flippy-do nonsense, and I think, well, they're only going to last, 5 years because they're going to be hurt. They're going to miss most of their time, or they're not going to be able to do that forever. I think Penta has a good mix of it. And, Chad Gable, I kind of almost regret him not getting the Intercontinental title because that dude works.
Yep.
And that showed it. Like, that was one of those classic storytellings where no matter if he won or lost, it made both of them look good. I'm glad Penta won. It's going to... Now, I do say his... And again, people said it too. His post-match interview went a little long. But, and again, dead honest, I don't know that much about him. There was a really interesting article I wish I'd have sent you because it tells the whole story about Penta and like the story of the mask and where it came from. But again, I think if he keeps matches at that pace, I think he's going to do wonders.
So I was actually kind of doing a little bit of research, and there was a segment. I know we're not talking about AEW or anything, but there was a segment during the Blood and Guts match on AEW where Penta was a part of that match, and he is the one who put all those skews.
I saw that,
in John Mox's head, and I whenever I first saw that, me and Nicole were sitting there watching it, and I had to turn it off. I'm like, there's no way, like I can't do this.
I have a flair for the violence, and I watched it, and I was, but again, right, like it's so weird. I like my wrestling. I like what I like, and I don't like what I don't like. Like, I love seeing that shock factor on YouTube, like looking up the old school backyard wrestling stuff, dudes taking weed eaters to dudes' chest. I'll watch that all day, but you're absolutely right. And in 2025, I don't think there's a place for it. But, hey, they do what they do.
No, yeah, GCW, you go out there and you're, doing light bulb stunts and, things like that. That's fine, but I'm talking like that, and that was just too much even for me. So, anyway, I just hope that Penta doesn't require that type of match to feel successful like Moxley does. So anyway,
Yeah. Moving along here. Like I said, so they go back to back. Liv isn't mad at Dom. They go through the whole Judgment Day spiel, which we'll come back to that. Obviously, I think, I think the end of the Judgment Day is coming.
Maybe not the end of the Judgment Day, but maybe a separation from Liv and.
Okay, you know what? I was going to come at it later, but here it is. I'm tired of Finn Balor not getting a shot. I'm tired of they bring back Carlito and the dude's been nothing but a stooge.
Yep.
JD McDonough's big ass forehead needs to go back to NXT. Again, maybe he's great, but just the way that character, like the Judgment Day is done. Like the end, and Damian kill it. It's time Finn got his title. But again, we'll get to all this. I mean, that you know that's coming. So the next match was Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. I saw another thing I saw on the socials. Ludwig Kaiser, I don't know what kind of friend he is, right? Like me and you, we're best friends. You get a promotion, and I'm aside from your wife and family, I'm one of your biggest hype dudes. Like something good happens in my life, I know, like I'll call other people in my family, like, oh yeah, we're proud of you, we love you, and I call you, you're like, yeah, man, yeah. Like you're like we hype each other up. So Ludwig's girlfriend, Tiffany Stratton, is the women's champion, and his best friend, who was it? I forget. I saw it on a post, but shit, who was it? But anyway, his best friend in wrestling is someone, and they just won a title, or they're so it's like, and they say that behind scenes he's the big hype man, so he's living life vicariously through his girlfriend and his best friend. He's just on top of the world. So I see him potentially. I think we're done seeing Ludwig as a background character. Because if you notice, he hasn't been around Gunther a whole lot.
No, and he's stepping up. Like, honestly, his character work and...
his match against Sheamus, another... I mean, again, I don't think it's going to win match of the year, but it's reliable.
It was a banger.
At the end of the... After banger after banger. And again, is it Sheamus or is it Ludwig or is it the combo?
I think it's a combo. Because they can both work. And Sheamus is... He could lose, win, it doesn't matter. He brings out the best in everybody.
Yep. So I think that is one of those matches that is the constant. Like, if they don't know what to put on the card, with or without a storyline, that could get plugged in, and I don't think anyone's really going to brag about it.
Yeah.
Now, you want to talk about something that has me absolutely agitated.
Yep.
For no reason. Why in the blue hell is the Intercontinental Champion sitting on the front row? Like
I didn't understand.
Now maybe it was like supposed to be like a stage, but they showed him sitting there. And it's like, why? He works there. He is your Intercontinental Champion. Like, I get that it's for a story, but you couldn't do something better than that? Or are we just tired of Braun Breaker run-ins? Like, that's...
I mean, that's pretty much what he does, you know.
Yeah, but, I mean... He could have done that post-match. He could have done a run-in. Again, maybe they're trying to, I don't know, because again, the week before, and they've continued, they have other superstars sitting around. Sorry. Again, as bad as I make the joke about Big Show having the heel and face switch on his back, I'm beginning to think that they're thinking about getting rid of the brand split. Which, the only reason I don't is because they just introduced 2 new titles for the women. So, but it's aggravating. It's like, well, you split them, but now you're bringing them together.
Well, you've got 2 networks at this point, right? So you've always...
a network and a stream, yeah.
So you've got that, and you're going to have your big stars that Netflix wants, and then you're going to have your big stars that USA wants. Cody is the guy who's been bouncing back and forth this whole time. The whole year, he's been back and forth. I hate to say it, he's faced the company. Well, I don't hate to say it. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
100%. They've got that company riding on him the whole way. But there hasn't been a true brand split in a very long time because we've got people bouncing back and forth always. And, you know, you've got people, even if they don't show up on Monday Night Raw, they're there for a dark match, you know.
Probably.
So,
yeah. So, that segment ends. we get news that we're going to get Rollins and Drew next
Monday night.
So we're going to get to see Rollins and Drew going at it. Not upset about that.
What do you think? What do you think Punk's going to do in that match? You think he's going to make an appearance and either fuck Drew or?
I mean, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I'm just super excited because I know based on your attire that you're wearing and Monday Night Raw, Drew's one of your favorite superstars.
So excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris Roach.
Yeah. Shout out. Y'all will meet him later. Man, is he a hoot. I can't wait to have him on the show. So, yeah, that goes through. Sammy's trying to be nice. Rollins calls him out about Roman. Normal. Karrion Kross emerges from Pierce's office. And the Wyatt Six have been moved to SmackDown. Like, that's how they announced that?
I know.
Like, not even like why did they just show up? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They put so much effort, and God rest Bray Wyatt. Like, nothing against him. But, like, are you kidding me? We built them up to be around Bray and an honor to Bray and all this. And now, all of a sudden, oh, well, I guess they got traded to SmackDown. Like, and that ties right into the brand split. It's like, are they split or are they just desperate? What are we doing?
Well, man, here's the deal. I have not been a fan of the Wyatt Six since the day that they emerged. I just really have.
I think that's harsh language.
I mean,
are you not a fan of the Wyatt Six, or are you not a fan of what they're doing with the Wyatt Six?
I've never been a fan of the whole Uncle Howdy aspect. So, and I don't like the creative direction that they're going in.
That's fair.
So,
I mean, that could be said about anybody. So
they needed more star power. Let's say they had Alexa Bliss as the leader.
Are you calling out a spoiler right now? Put it on the table.
I don't think Alexa's coming back to the Wyatt Six. I don't think. I think she's coming in as her own character. I don't know. I may be wrong.
Okay.
But I think that if they would have had Alexa Bliss come back, or they would have waited for the Wyatt Six to reform when she was available, it would have taken off a lot faster, a lot harder.
I just keep hoping I run into Alexa at Disney when the wife and I go. So Gunther comes to the ring. He's interrupted by Yeet,
Yep.
my man's main event, Jey Uso. And then we get the announcement of Gunther and Jey at Saturday night's main event.
How do you feel about Saturday night's main event? How do you feel about?
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Hulk Hogan's been all over, so I'm worried that it's not going to get any views because they booed him off.
They booed him out of the arena. Now, was that because it's Hogan, or was it political?
I'm going to put this to rest right now, and everyone's been saying it. If it was political, they wouldn't have cheered for The Undertaker.
I agree with that 100%.
Now, again, So here's an interesting take that I saw someone suggest on Facebook. They're like, if they bring Hogan back, bring back Hollywood Hogan, because when they boo him, it just makes it look natural.
It'll just make it
natural.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, come out there and trash talk, but I mean, again, the thing is as much as he's probably willing to, we don't need Hollywood Hogan taking a bump and breaking his hip.
Yeah, no. It's kind of like Ric Flair comes back to the Royal Rumble. What's he gonna do? Go in there and. Yeah, and then fucking strut his ass out.
Well, so you were at Ric Flair's
my God,
like 18th last match.
At the Build last match in Nashville, Tennessee, and what a shit show. He says that he had a heart attack in the ring,
I don't doubt him.
I don't either, but god damn, was it wild?
It looks sad. Like, I have yet to actually sit down and watch the full thing, but I've seen the clips, and it's...
I don't know that it's worth... Like, I loved being there because the environment that we were in. We were with some really cool friends, Carrie and Taylor. Nicole was there. There was a lot of really good, exciting matches before the main event.
Right.
So the card was great. Loved the card. We even got to see Matt Cardona come out. That was kind of cool. But, yeah, that match at the end of it was... Honestly, come on, Rick. I get it, but
I'm not gonna let. So again, my heart. I mentioned it earlier. I don't know. I blurred the lines of reality, not only with wrestling, but the fact that I go back and I watch all these historical matches. So Ric Flair has grown, especially in my heart, because I read his book, I've seen his matches, and I know what. Regardless of what anyone says, he was part of some of the biggest moments in history. Whether you feel good about him. Richard Fleur, or however you pronounce it, as a person versus Ric Flair, he did more for wrestling than any other superstar did in years.
And we pull it back, like we talked about earlier with Punk, man. You like CM Punk. You don't like Phil Brooks.
Sure.
It's the same thing. I can love Ric Flair. You don't have to hate the man, Ric Flair.
So, I mean, I say that, but at the same time, and I will tell you this about Phil Brooks versus CM Punk, Richard Fleer versus Ric Flair, Stone Cold versus Steve Austin, a lot of times the best gimmicks or the best characters are the ones that are extensions of themselves. So, and again, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole, but as I've told you before, I think Mr. McMahon took over Vince McMahon. At some point. So it's hard. Sometimes I look at the product and I look at the character and I'm afraid. It's almost like I'm afraid to like that character because I don't want to like the individual. But again, at the end of the day, it makes no effect to me. They put their pants on the same as I do. I go to work and they get on a tour bus or a jet or limousine ride. Sorry. All right. So Lyra versus Dakota for women's intercontinental title.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Hold up.
All right.
Because I'm just going to tell you this right now because they went to a commercial break. If I see the motherfucking Cricket Wireless chair phone with the Alpha Academy, there's not even a goddamn tag team one more time, I'm going to launch a remote through the TV.
Yep.
I understand it's advertising and still, but do something. Like, they aren't even a tag team anymore. I know it. And again, I know it's super petty, but it's like, motherfuckers, this is on your network. Show another cricket commercial. Dude, bring back the Bianca one because that one makes sense.
Or even Charlotte Flair.
Like they are a tag team.
Yeah.
Cricket needs to kick that one to the curb.
Yeah. No.
So all right, Lyra versus Dakota. I'll let you take this one from the rip.
So here's the deal. I am a Dakota fan. Have been since day one. And
Okay.
I wanted Dakota to win that belt. Like I feel like it's deserved. She's always been there, man. Even whenever she, was injured, she was there with, damage control week after week after week.
I had respect.
And not to say that, Valkyria didn't deserve it by any means, but man, I don't know. The match was great. Loved the match. I wasn't a fan of the ending, but that's okay.
So I had no skin in the game. I'm not saying I'm not a fan of them. So the match had kind of it didn't have the big match feel for what it should have been. And I don't know if that's because who was in it or what was going on, but I just didn't I didn't move to the edge of my seat. I sat back and watched the match. And again, it was just it's like there weren't they all have high spots, but I just didn't see like sitting here thinking it's now Saturday.
Right.
I don't have any real memory of that match.
Right.
And again, open kimono, you see me with my list of notes here. I wrote it's good easy pace, weird handstand shit. I don't even remember what that was, but it was just super awkward.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But Lyra did win and is the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion.
Now let's hope that she can elevate the belt like Chelsea's doing the United States Championship belt. So
I want to come back to that.
Okay.
Because we're going into SmackDown. Mm-hmm. I got feelings about Chelsea Green, but I'm biased. I'll admit it. It's nothing against the women's division, but when you have the creme de la creme, the best in the world of the women's championship, Trish Stratus in your mind from when you were a kid, you got to look at some of these girls and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? So, by the way, if I'm missing by the next podcast, that means my wife murdered me. We won't go into that.
I honestly thought I was going to get him murdered at Christmas, but...
I got a signed Trish Stratus calendar. And I mean... Anyway. Sammy versus Miz, what do you got?
I didn't really pay much attention to that match.
Big facts.
I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of my hey, I'm gonna take my little 10-minute break and got up and moved around. Love the Miz, he's great. I've met him, he's kind of a douchebag in person, but
really, that I have heard from a few other people, total opposite.
See, and it may have just been the day. I mean, it
Sure.
honestly could have been, but I didn't feel like my meet and greet with the Miz was what I expected it to be, and Yeah, I've just kind of never had that want to see The Miz ever since that day.
Yeah. So I look, man, standard data, not great, not bad, right? Like again, similarly to Sheamus versus Kaiser, I think first of all, The Miz, he will forever be better as a heel than a face.
Oh no, hands down.
And Sammy's still carrying the face status. So I mean, you put those two in the ring. I mean, that's easy money. That's easy time. But to your point, right? Like I think everyone kind of looked at that match and went, unless those are one of your favorites, which is totally okay. We don't yuck any yums on this podcast. It's 2025. Yep, that's them. Like you said, that's a piss break. They're gonna get in there. Miz is gonna do some it kicks. Sammy's gonna hit a blue thunder bomb. Probably a skull-crushing finale that's going to get countered. And again, I don't remember the match, but something tells me if I go back and watch this, we're not going to see anything.
No. Nothing extravagant.
So that sent us to announcement of Sheamus versus Braun Breaker at Saturday night's main event. So stacking the card.
Was that for the title?
I don't remember. It might be. I mean... Again, like I'm just interested to see those two just beat the hell out of each other because that's what that is old school brawler style match. For sure. And again, Sheamus just no nonsense, old school Irish, beat the hell out of you, and
so
the genetic freak, modern day type.
What do you think? What do you think about that new announce table? And what if Braun Breaker would have ran his ass into that table like he did a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Those are the kind of spots that. Kind of just make me cringe a little. That just, God, man. Anyway,
so just a little side note. During one of the promos, someone mentioned 30 points, or so it was an advertisement. That's what it was, not during a promo. It was an advertisement for the new action figures. Did you see that? Do you remember that?
No.
So I don't remember it either. But just to show you how simple-minded I am, they announced that the new action figures are going to have 30 points of articulation.
Right.
So I honestly lost a good bit of the show because I was literally counting 30 points of articulation on my body like a fucking idiot. I think I got to 27, and I think what that means is their hands will be able to do that. But again, we don't do math in public, and math in public includes on a live podcast or a recorded podcast. That might get edited out. But if you could identify, please, for me, all 30 points of articulation, send us an email at knowgimmicks@gmail.com because I'm curious. We come back. Rhea's in the ring. Nia interrupts. Transfer window?
Yeah.
The Wyatts?
Yeah. Yes.
Leaving it at that. Nia says she's in the Rumble. Huzzah. So that finally turns us to the main event. God damn, that's American. Sorry, we're just to keep our ADHD asses accurate. We got old school Raw in the background. We got The Rock and American Badass Undertaker in the ring, and Rikishi, I did it for The Rock, and Kane on the ramp. So, God damn, the glory days. We didn't realize what we had.
No, we didn't.
Yeah. So this leads to our main event: Damian Priest versus Finn in a street fight.
Yep.
Street fight just doesn't do like it used to do,
It didn't. I mean, it's just gimmicked up. It's normally just table matches, or just not matches. Sorry, tables, some chair spots. But
so here we go. This match isn't meant to be your play-by-play recovery, but here we go. Damian versus Finn on a street fight. Finn jumps Damian from behind. Excuse me. They beat the hell out of each other. Finn gets put on a stretcher, and Priest just yeet right off the stretcher into the ring. Again, standard data. Here come Carlito, JD. They beat up Damian. War Raiders come to back them up, run them off. Now, what I did enjoy was the old, as Bullet Bob Armstrong, the old coup de Gracie, the old coup de grace through a table. That was pretty fucking gnarly.
it was.
Yeah. And then Damian.
How do you feel about Finn bouncing back like he did after being on the stretcher?
So I'll tell you, as a experienced, self-proclaimed experience, like that's brilliant.
Yep.
the heel getting cheap heat. Oh, I'm injured. And then he comes back and whoops his ass. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
So again, if you take it at face value, it's like, oh, well, this is why. Did you know wrestling's fake?
Yeah, well, so is,
That's another episode. But but again, right? Like, it's one of those things. It's like, he's that dirty, rotten bastard. Like, how dare he try and go to? Because you can't say hospital on WWE yet.
No. Medical facility.
Local medical facility.
Yeah.
You know. So to me, it makes sense. That's part of the story. But yeah. So then, Damian Ram's Finn through the timekeeper barricade. I'm tired of that spot. It's overused. It doesn't have any shock value. Goldberg did it.
It's every week.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything anymore. They cheapened it like they cheapened the DDT.
Yeah.
Now the Razor's Edge through the table, street fight-esque. I'm all about it. Then he gets South of Heaven for the 3 and Damian wins. Which, again, we spent a lot of time talking about the whole show for me to wrap up the main event like that. But when you announce Damian versus Finn for that feud in a street fight, I'm not going to say it was a bad match, but that's what you should do when you have a street fight, right? Like, I can't look back at that and say that street fight's going to be a faded memory in everyone's mind. There are going to be no clips from that. The best they'll get is they'll be part of an opening segment montage one day.
Yeah,
if they're lucky. Yeah, exactly. So, but the thing that stole it all, and we mentioned it earlier, it was a 2.5 hour ending. We're all like,
what is going on?
Open,
we knew.
Open kimono?
Yeah.
My ass went to bed.
I was kind of peeved. Like I said, I've got that 7 to 10 slot blocked off in my mind. If I'm not dozing off on the couch and I'm enjoying Monday Night Raw, I wanted that extra 30 minutes. So, like I told Nicole,
I had to get up early, so I was ecstatic.
No, I mean it's not that. I was up at 5:45 on that day, I believe, next morning to get the kiddos to school. But it's the thing about, like, that's just what I'm trained.
Sure.
So, went off the air. And then I thought to myself, well, we're going to Monday Night Raw next week. Are we going to get a 2.5 hour show? Are we going to get a 40-minute show? Are we going to get a bunch of dark matches? Like, what? That's kind of...
I never put that into consideration.
Like, are we going to...
Are we going to get our money's worth?
Right. Yeah. I don't think that they're going to...
Well, look, a modern-day wrestling god will be there. So how can you...
But what is he going to do? Okay, is he going to go and do, a couple...
Oh, he's going to come and shit talk Texas, and I'm going to love every minute of it.
Yep. I don't know. I can't recall, other than JBL and the Seth versus Drew match, what else we're in for. I know they probably talked about it last night on SmackDown, but I was kind of in and out. So.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, they announced it through the show. That it didn't make the notes, but again, right, like, part of that is, so, again, I live far enough away that I don't get the local advertisements for it. So, but again, at the end of the day, it's opportunity to go see a show. It's opportunity to hang out. So
it's gonna be a blast.
It's gonna be out of control. So that sums it up for Raw. I mean, we're not here. I'm not here to give grades, but I was happy with Raw. It kept my attention. It made me happy. It made us mad. It told stories. It did what it was supposed to do.
100%. I think at the end of the day, I'm going to have to learn when the show's over. It's over.
So part of me wonders, right? Like, and I don't know, because I got rid of Netflix forever ago, and I just came back to it for Raw. So I'm one of those numbers that Netflix wanted, right? I was a customer they lost and came back for WWE, so that played to their advantage. A part of me wonders if it's trial and error at this point, like, because I don't think there's as many commercials as there was on USA.
Oh, I don't know about that. I felt like there was just as many commercials, but. The other thing that I'm kind of peeved about is if you're in America, United States, you're getting commercials, regardless of the package that you have. But if you're in Canada or the UK, they're using those commercial breaks for us to do on-air interviews with other superstars.
So, I didn't know that.
They sure are.
Get out of town.
So they're not doing ads. So there's a lot of people here in the United States, like even the streamers that are using VPNs to watch Monday Night Raw, so they get the background interviews while we're sitting here watching commercials.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to take a leap, man.
Yeah,
you got to let the dogs out. So And again, like, so I'm cheap and I don't even pay for the full thing at Peacock. No. So I get the advertisements on Peacock. It doesn't bother me. I mean, my thing is I don't know that will ever enhance the show. Like, everything's an enhancement to an extent, but I don't think that it's going to do anything for us. Like, it's not going to do anything. I don't think I'm missing out on anything.
It's
personally.
just kind of like the Raw Talk or the after show or the post show. So, like, I don't watch those normally.
Yeah, man. On a good day, I can go to work at 8 o'clock, but that's without getting up and taking care of myself. Well, let me back up. If I leave for work past 7:30, it's a bad day for me.
Yeah.
But there's days where I got to be to work at 4:30. Like, my schedule fluctuates. I hit the sack jack.
Yeah.
So, but now, here we go. Here we go. Trigger alert. There's a reason that SmackDown is the B show. It's Saturday.
Yeah.
I can't, without looking at my notes, I can't tell you one thing that happened on SmackDown other than the Solo moment.
Yeah. The
things that we like text about. SmackDown's got to step it up.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll cover it. We'll talk about it. But,
I mean, apparently Roman's going to be on Raw. So you've got Cody on SmackDown, but also on Raw. Okay, so you don't have the true star power anymore. That's leading the way there.
Hey, you say that, but whose game is it?
LA Knight.
Yeah, that's my boy. So SmackDown on January 17th came to us from San Diego, California. Sorry, I missed the name of the arena. Sold out, though.
Yep.
So everyone there thought it was the greatest show they've seen in a while, but I was snoozing in the chair. So, interesting enough, something I did like is Barrett and Joe came in through the crowd like they walked through. That was pretty unique.
And that's kind of interesting what they're doing. They're doing the opening, what they used to do, panned in on the announce table. They're doing that opening to the crowd, so the whole crowd can hear them.
Yeah,
which is that's interesting.
It's like I remember the first time I ever went to wrestling as a kid. I was like, how come I can't hear?
Oh no, yeah. Whenever I take Dad, that's one thing he always bitches about. He's like, God, man, I'd like to listen and see what they're saying down there, but we're here, so we can't hear it. And I'm like, get the fuck over it, dude. You're here, but
I don't understand. So like, again, dumb redneck alert. I go to NASCAR. Why have they not? Bro, they're missing out on it. Man, bro, here we go. Don't steal our business idea. I'm coming for you if you do. So we need to sell to WWE the radios. And then you can put an earbud in your ear so you can hear the commentators while they're bro, that's
a thing.
Bro, put it down.
Yeah.
You steal my idea, I'm stealing your firstborn. If you ain't got any kids, I'm stealing your dog. You ain't got a dog, I'm burning your house down. So
with the
man, stop, man. This is the first one. Don't let people know how janky we are right off the rip.
Yeah.
Bro, you're lucky I don't have pants on. You're lucky I got shorts on under here. I'm just showing off the cool jersey. So anyway, they open it. Rey Mysterio's there. Cheap pop.
Yeah.
So they in San Diego. They end the 619. Rey comes out, declares for the Rumble.
So, did you hear though? Did you hear him say, "I beat 28 other men"?
Yeah,
and I kind of did a lot of reading today. I didn't have much else to do, so I read that there were several reasons that he may have said that, but then I also read where he just may have fucked up and said, "I beat 20 other guys" because he came in as number 2. But
hey, that math.
It does.
I'm married to a math teacher. That math.
When you're number 30. You still say, I beat 29 other men.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? So
here we go. This is why this podcast is dangerous, because we're going to go down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
If you enter 30 and you win, you didn't beat 29 motherfuckers.
Yep.
Shut up. Anyway, there it is. I'm going to leave it at that. Hey, it's the idea. It sounds good, looks good. But at the end of the day, you didn't do that. So I think that's why Ray said that. I'm not going to dig in on that, man. That's
the one thing that a lot of people dug in on was the eliminating Chris Benoit from
who?
So Chris Benoit.
Who's that?
Exactly.
So
part of that Royal Rumble, it was really cool to see him win from number 2. You know, very rare. That's only happened like maybe once or twice. So that's pretty neat. But anyway, he's back in the Rumble for the 18th time.
Spoiler alert: he's not going to win.
No.
There it is. Paul Heyman. Sorry, buddy. It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. So anyway, Ray's out there. KO comes in with the Winged Eagle Championship.
And he is good. I love it. It is the best that he just self-proclaimed champion.
It's so good. And his T-shirt.
Son of a...
the Canadian Dream. Son of a security systems technician.
Yes.
I've never, his T-shirts I've always kind of had respect for. But Kevin Owens... this whole last little bit run he's did, the one promo he said, we know what's going to happen. You're going to say this, you're going to come down here. We're going to fight, so just get in the ring and fight.
Yeah.
The most meta wrestler to ever exist. And he's a heel, but mad respect to Kevin Owens.
I love it.
Yep. So, and I'm not going to lie. I'm not huge up there on Kevin Owens, and I bleed red, white, and blue. I am an American through and through, but I would wear the Canadian Dream.
Yep.
Son of a security systems technician shirt.
It's probably on sale.
It has to be. During this, Kevin says he is the WWE champion, as you have said, and he asks Ray to challenge him when he wins. So he's got faith in Ray.
Yeah.
Good guy. It's weird. The loveliest heel we've had, and then he just shits all over him. That turns into a scrap. Ray stands tall. Yay, Cody, hoopla, 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 whatever. 14-minute opening. So that goes back to what I said. I'm kind of interested in keeping track of the openings because you said you don't openly watch, but you've seen a lot of the clips of the Undertaker's podcast.
Yep.
So Undertaker said Mark Calloway said on his podcast that if he knew the match was going to be trash or not up to his standard, he would intentionally take longer to get to the ring, to get
his time,
to get to get the fans' money's worth out of him.
Yeah. So
I was kind of hoping to see that trend, right? If you have a longer opening, then the show's going to suck. If it's a short opening or they jump right into action, it's going to be a good show. So far, trends are looks like they're saying, hey, fellas, you got 15 to 20 minutes to open the show. Get out there and do your thing. Because, again, I think I could have slept through this SmackDown and just read the Spark Notes.
Yeah.
So after the opening, the 14-minute opening, that turns to Bianca and Naomi in the back. And Naomi's coming from Adam Pearce's office, and Bianca asks about an update on Jade. And Naomi says, no updates on who took out Jade. It was her.
Yeah.
I think that is going to be the second worst. And if it's not, because again, I told you earlier we would get to her. I cannot think of one standout match she has had.
No.
I think she has great in-ring ability. But Naomi is a better paid enhancement talent, in my opinion. And I think part of that's her character. So for her sake, what I'm hoping is she's the one who took out Jay, and this is going to be her first real big run as a heel. And after, again, and I think a lot of wrestling fans share the sentiment. What has been a mediocre run, I think that's going to change. And I think she's going to be a heel, and I think she's going to have the ability to add the heel repertoire to her bag, and I think it's going to make her one of the greatest heels the women's division's seen in the past 10 years.
And she needs it, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I agree 100%. The issue with Naomi is everything she does is just so gimmicky. The entrance, her move set. I cannot sit and watch Naomi. And honestly, if we were going to SmackDown and she was there, that would be my Pittsburgh.
Well, sorry, and I'll tell you, right, and I didn't watch it. My wife did. So my wife was a wrestling fan back in the day when all of us were when we were kids coming up during the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars. But my wife watched Total Divas. And I will tell you right now, I think that was the beginning of the end for a lot of the product. And I think we're recovering. I hated that. Like, I understand it broke because it broke kayfabe, but that was like, it was such a hard, a lot of people say that Vince did that when he came out and acknowledged it that before Raw that time, but look what it did. But now it's like they show all these people and I'm like, wow. Now what that did also open my eyes to is I don't understand why Natalya was not one of the first champions. It also, between that and looking at social medias behind the scenes, I don't understand why oh Lord, I just dropped a blank because I'm simple like that. Oh, what's her name never made it as big as she did. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The one who had all the plastic surgery and got the duck lips, looked all simple. That's how quick I've already. Yeah. I heard she was there early setting up the ring. Dana Brooke, she was trying to pay her dues, and it's like it meant nothing now.
Yep.
I hate it for her. Like, she should have been up there.
Well, and she was on anytime you went to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. She was on main event every time. Sure. So,
and I hate it for her, and I think now again, it's 2025, but I'm not foolish enough to admit that certain industries or places were behind a power curve when it came to empowerment, to whether it be women, LGBTQ, whatever it is. So the Divas got a rough schwack, and there's a phenomenal story about that, talking about Fit Finlay and the Divas changing to become women superstars. But I just don't understand why Dana Brooke, and again, I'm not in the business, so I can't say it, but me as an old school type of individual, a man is measured by the strength of his back and the sweat on his brow. You get out what you put in, and it seems like she was putting in everything and got nothing.
Yeah.
So that's down the line. So back to the original point here. I see Naomi being the one that took out Jade, and we're probably going to get a Naomi versus Jade / Bianca spiel going down the line. It's at this point they go to Nia and Candice LeRae versus Bianca and Naomi. And it was a piss poor setup. Like, they had never really announced it, but it transitioned that way, so not bad. But breaking out of that, Nick and Ray are backstage, and they announced Ray versus KO announced, and Cody is now fully medically ready. And this leads into a segment that really didn't pan out, an addendum to the KO Cody match. Mm-hmm. We'll see what else. We'll get into that. But we get Nia. So here we go. So now the memories are coming back. So what turns out to be Nia and Naomi Nia and Candice LeRae versus Bianca and Naomi. My first immediate note, and my wife was sitting there, God bless her, Nia's gear's ugly as shit. An orange snake skin, like, ugh.
Yeah,
snake skin's hard to pull off now.
So this is one of the matches I kind of found myself dozing on.
Bro, I'm telling you, like, I'm trying to be professional here. This is going to be the #1 wrestling podcast. We're not kicking out at. I say that we got to deal with Bruce Tim Bruce Tim. We got to deal with Bruce. We got to deal with Mark Calloway. Thousands, hundreds of other people out there probably doing the same thing.
Yep. But
I refuse to kick out at 2. We're going to go to the top. But my wife is just like, what the hell? And I'm just, and to your point, I struggled during. And I think this was like the nail in the coffin where I'm just like playing games on my phone, looking up, writing a few notes. So, because literally it's like I wrote Nia and Candice LeRae versus Bianca and Naomi. The breaking news about Cody and all that. Nia's gear's ugly. It's snakeskin. And Bianca and Naomi win. Those are my only notes. I'll tell you, and I'm going to go ahead and let this out too on this podcast. I think Nia Jax is the best women's heel in wrestling.
And I respect
I almost think, because for what it's worth, very rarely do you see Nia botch. But you see someone else botch. And I know I'm using all the wrestling terms. We're fans. If you don't like it, fuck off. Or welcome to the podcast. Anyway, so I love it because she's easy heat, man. Like, not not Dominic Mysterio heat, but I mean, it's easy to hate her. Anytime you got someone who's supposed to be good, just put them against Nia. They're automatically going to be the fan favorite, and that's what. I think she's accepted that role
for sure. I think that was part of her coming back, accepting that role.
Yeah. So, any notes?
No.
Exactly. Moving on.
Yeah.
So then we get Jimmy Uso versus Carmella. Again, kind of standard data, right? Like, I do hate for Jimmy that he's stuck in this no yeet thing. Because I really do think Jay did a phenomenal thing by breaking out on his own. And now Jay's still starting to piggyback. If he doesn't develop something, he's going to sink.
Oh, no. Yeah, 100%.
And again, you don't think keeping him relative with that is the no yeet?
Yeah.
It's like, bro, that's your brother's gimmick.
Yep.
Get with it to get going. So again, Melo and Jimmy, and then Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga.
God, man, that drives me up.
I love, bro. Dude, you want to talk? She's rolling her eyes down. Again, spoiler. The wives are in the background listening to this, and I just looked up, and my wife just rolled her eye. She did a whole ass fucking head roll. I mean, bro, I'm nasty. I'll give it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's weird, but I love it. So they interfere. They obviously jack up Jimmy. I'll give it to Carmelo Hayes. One of the most entertaining thing of the whole thing. He gets up there patting him on the back, and they just jump his ass. They screw him up. And then finally, the return of the not former tribal chief, whatever.
The Ulaf. What do you call it?
The holder of the Ulafala.
Ulafala, yeah.
Solo comes out. We cut the commercial, and we comes back, and the sumbitch just mic drops us. And God bless Wade Barrett for. So I see what you got, San Diego, trying to do his part, but at the end of the day, so Solo, like, he literally just mic drops, but he leads through the crowd. I found that kind of, I don't know if that's supposed to be because again, something Triple H has done really well is like dropping breadcrumbs or hints in the background. So I don't know if that kind of represents or means anything. But Jacob Fatu picks up the mic, letting my man expand. So
it's about time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not bad. I mean, cheap heat. He dumps on the crowd. And then LA Knight music hits. He comes out from behind, gets his ass whooped. And then out comes Braun Strowman, the monster of all monsters. And I used to hate him, but I now love him. I wish Pat McAfee would have been there. One big son of a bitch, because Wade Barrett just doesn't do it. So he comes down, and we're about to get the Samoan Werewolf and the Monster of all monsters to go at it, and then my boy Tama pulls him out. So good cliffhanger there. I'll give him that one. Anything interesting you saw? Again,
no.
You slumped on that thing?
Yeah, man. Like I said, SmackDown last night. It was.
I mean, you had your reasons. We're not going to divulge everything about ourselves, but you had your reasons. Nothing stimulating.
Here's the deal, though. I did find out last night that Pat McAfee will not be on Monday Night Raw this week, so I'm pretty sad about that.
Yeah, I wanted to see him yeet all over Dallas.
We're going to get Wade Barrett in his place.
Okay, I mean, I'm not mad, but because we can't hear him. But
no. But if you've never seen Pat McAfee do an announcing live,
he's great.
It's great.
Yeah,
like you don't even have to hear him.
Oh, the greatest treasure of Pat McAfee is the social media videos of him and Cole. He said Dominic Mysterio's a dude wipe after he wipe. So next we get Motor City Machine Guns versus Los Garza representing Fantasma.
Whatever.
So when's the last time Santos, is he hurt? I can't think of I mean, LWO tattoo and all that, but what are we doing? And old girl, I don't know what she was wearing. That's some freaky shit.
I know, yeah.
Literally no notes. Motor City Machine Guns win.
Yep.
Now, So here we go. We're going to talk about your girl, Chelsea. Because the match was Piper Niven versus B-Fab. Now, again, it's worth noting that obviously Chelsea was accompanying her security, which I thought that, like, poor Piper. Like, she's such a badass. I loved her early work, and she's been kind of reduced to this gimmicky sidekick. Again, she should have been the one, in my mind, competing for that championship instead of Chelsea. Nothing against Chelsea. I think she can work. However, I think she is going to walk a thin line, just like Naomi, if they don't. The only thing, what she has going for her is her character is great in interviews and segments, and she can tell a story with the character, but she can't tell the story in the ring to me.
No, I agree. Her character is what wins her over, and she's able to keep everybody engaged and entertained. That's a big thing.
Oh, she's a Karen, and who doesn't hate a Karen?
Yeah, her.
It's almost too easy.
Her in-ring work definitely needs to be tightened up a little bit, but her character work is phenomenal.
Yeah. And what do you think about B-Fab? I haven't seen too much of her in the ring. Let me guess.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, but again. Yeah.
So Piper wins, and they jump B-Fab, and of course Michin makes a save, kendo stick. I mean, if that had been any more stereotypical, they'd be getting an equal opportunity complaint. So that takes us to the main event. We finally get.
Well, we're missing one thing. We did get a Charlotte Flair vignette. Did you see that? So
slumped or taking a piss. I love me some Charlotte. I missed that.
They finally put Charlotte Flair, and I don't remember exactly what it was, or if it said returning or coming home or whatever, but they did a vignette of Charlotte Flair, and then you had Wade Barrett talking about her 2-minute video that she posted. It's about me and myself. So, yeah.
Okay, so, I honestly missed that. I wish you'd have texted me. I might have to go back and rewatch that. Hey, I'll tell you right now, and again, I think we could do a whole podcast on it. I'm a Charlotte Flair fan. Now, you can say what you want about the titles, about her daddy and all that. From the very first time that she kicked her daddy away, and again, I know it's story, but I respected that.
Yeah.
Like, again, dumb redneck from way back. Here we go. Here we go. Cheap heat. I was a Jeff Gordon fan in NASCAR. I don't know if you know what that means, but we're gonna lose subscribers right here just because I said that. I guarantee it. In lieu of Dale Earnhardt. So when Dale Earnhardt Jr. came about, I didn't like Dale Earnhardt Jr. But the very minute that I gained enough knowledge, age, experience, maturity to realize that Dale Jr. was separating himself from his dad and wanted to be his own man, I gained some respect for him. I like Dale Jr., especially now in the modern day. So I think that was Charlotte Flair's best attempt to break away from her dad and do her own thing. And I hate to tell you, but regardless if she was Ric Flair's daughter, Roddy Piper's daughter, Bruno Sammartino's grand, whatever, the cream will always rise to the top. She could have been a nobody, no talent hack, but with her athletic ability, willingness to learn, cream rises to the top.
Yep.
I don't understand why Natalya hasn't. Maybe there's a reason for that. But look at the same thing we just said about Chelsea Green, right? Like, if it wasn't for her character, she wouldn't be nothing. But and Charlotte Flair has proven it time and time again. Heel face. No matter who you put in front of her, she's proven. And again, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I can't think of a better opponent for Ronda Rousey than her and/or Becky Lynch, because they make her look good because they have that wherewithal and that ring ability to do so. I don't see that with a lot of the women's roster. I can't think, think Steven Regal versus Bill Goldberg, right? I honestly think I think Charlotte Flair could get in the ring with a mop and make it look like the mop is winning.
Yeah.
I really do. And that's why she has those accolades. That's why she will forever go, like, bottom line right now, she's going to the Hall of Fame. She's going to go down as one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, and there's not a damn thing anyone can say or do to prevent it, shy of some illegal or immoral shit.
Yep.
So
I'm 100% with you.
So yeah, you got me off on that tangent, and that's why we were dangerous to do this podcast. 1,000%.
Yep. No.
But so again, this finally takes the main event: Ray versus KO. I mean, again, it's almost automatic, right? That's very, and maybe that's what I'm missing and not acknowledging the simplicity of SmackDown. Good versus bad. But in this modern day and age, you know, in the form of instant gratification and wanting more, as we are naturally as humans, maybe that's why I don't get it, because I have no notes on the actual match itself. KO does KO, Ray does Ray.
Yep.
Ray wants a 619, KO wants to do pop-up powerbomb. There was some, oh no, Kevin's going to injure him, which leads into post-match. KO wins dirty, of course. He's a heel. Yeah, he pushes the ref into the ropes when Ray was on top. I think that's classic heel shit, and that's, again, as much as we say we hate it, that's his job.
Yep.
KO hits him with a fake handshake, and he's going to give him a devastating pile driver like he did Cody, but of course Cody comes down. And so it's worth mentioning at this point this addendum to the contract. They never announced what that addendum was.
Well, I hear them say that next week that
they're going to give up the championship. So I hope that's not the addendum.
Yeah.
I really, because it's like, no, can't. Like you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to suspend them, but they have to sign the contract for it. I want this addendum to be like, I feel like there needs to be a little something. Now, the big surprise was that HBK.
Oh, is going to be the contract signer or the moderator.
Okay, like, again, love HBK, all about it. I mean, it's his hometown.
Yeah.
Right? San Antonio. But
what's HBK going to do? Like, he's...
Oh, I'm sorry, this wasn't the main event. I just looked at it. Sorry. But yeah, like, okay, that's cool. I mean, again, HBK is going to fill a seat or two.
Yeah.
That's, obviously he's going to fill more than that because that's someone's favorite wrestler, bridging that gap again. But I mean, okay, they're going to relinquish their titles, sign the amended contract, and HBK is going to be present. So great. Kevin Owens is going to beat up HBK. Calling it now.
Yep.
Or he's going to attempt to, and Cody's going to
save him.
I think Cody's getting powerbombed through a table.
I would love to be able to make the 3-hour trip down to San Antonio to go and watch Saturday Night Main Event. That would be fantastic.
How does that? Do you know how far that is for me?
I know, but it's Saturday, so.
Brother.
Yep.
I am financially irresponsible. I can't be even more irresponsible. I thought you wanted to start a podcast. You're trying to get me buried in the backyard.
Let's see if this makes money.
So we're looking for sponsors. I mean, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. I mean,
we're just here to have fun.
NIL money out there. So excuse my ignorance. After that ends, we move to our main event.
Which, again, I was...
Fun fact. My wife and Tiffany Stratton are best friends.
Yeah, they met at the airport.
Yeah, we met at the airport. Well, we didn't even meet at the airport. My wife and I were flying. We caught a connecting flight in Atlanta from Atlanta to Orlando, and we actually saw Tiffy and Los Garza. Look, bro, you want to talk about some nerdy-looking dudes? Like those, it was hard for me to recognize them. So we get out in Orlando, and we get on the train in Orlando, and she's standing right across from us. Next thing I know, her and my wife are talking like they've known each other for years. And I'm just standing there all awkward. I don't want to ask her for a picture. Like, long trap. You could just tell it was one of those early mornings. But she was dolled up. Like, she did at least half of her makeup that day. And then, I'm not calling my wife a traitor, but me being the most bestest everest husband, I'm sitting there waiting for bags. And I don't even know if I told you to come around the carousel. She goes out front to get some fresh air, which, no offense to you Floridians, but there's no such thing as fresh air in Orlando. That's cool. Ludwig Kaiser just comes up, gets her. He's a real gentleman. Gets her back, gives her a kiss, loads her bags up, get in it. And she's like, yeah, I was going to tell you, but I didn't want to scare you. I was like, what do you mean you didn't want to scare? Like,
What's going on?
Like, come on, man. Like, I'm not going to jump him, but, I mean, obviously I'm not going to ask him for, even if I didn't like it, which I'm a fan of, but I would be like, I love you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, your girlfriend's still get hot. Like something, like. But anyway, so, yeah. Again, as much as I hate to say it, Big Badonk Bailey versus Tiffy. No notes. Tiffy wins.
Yeah. I was half asleep during that whole. Yeah.
Is what it is. Ain't what it ain't. SmackDown's got a long way to go.
It does. And they've always been on that uphill battle, man, though.
I mean, there was a time they were hot. They beat Raw in the ratings like a grand total of 5 times, and 3 of them were in a row a few years ago.
Was that during the whole commissioner situation?
No. It was the last Daniel Bryan run, I believe.
When he was actually competing.
Yeah. Which, that was almost negligible at this point.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, again, they announced. So, and then during SmackDown, they announced that what we thought was going to be a tag team match, but instead it's going to be singles competition. So next week we're going to get LA Knight and Tawatonga, and then at Saturday night's main event we're going to get Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman. I think that's great. I'm not upset about it.
No,
something to fill the card
for sure.
But, Saturday night's main event, what are you thinking so far?
I think it's good. I think it's a nice little throwback. It's fun to be able to watch something on regular TV and it, just make you feel like you're a kid again watching Saturday Night Main Event.
So, again, you're a little bit older than I am, but... Again, we are a little too young to remember the full Saturday Night Main Event.
For sure.
And they did it for a few. I mean, again, to that point about the wrestling history, the nostalgia's there. I get it, but the first one was so big with the Winged Eagle.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, well, now it's just another event. So I'm sure they're going to bring some throwback stuff in there.
Well, I remember them doing a couple of Saturday Night Main Events around the WrestleMania 2022.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like that's what I meant. Like,
sure.
Going back to, I'm not talking about going back and watching shit with, Jesse Ventura and Hogan and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But the drawback for me is I really, really enjoy, just that off Saturday. I don't have anything to do. Cool. We've got some Saturday night wrestling.
Yeah.
Which it's nothing important. There's really going to be no title changes happening. It's just a cool little show.
Yeah. I don't know what the plan for Saturday night's main event is going forward because now they've seemingly moved most of the PLEs to Saturday.
But they've cut out a lot of house shows, so it's just another way for them to sell tickets. So that's
sure. I'll buy that for a nickel. But again, right? Like, we're creatures of habit, being humans. I enjoy my once a month Saturday
PLE.
PLE, because it's like that's my Saturday. That's the majority of people's, that's Saturday night is right smack dab in the middle of freedom time, if you will.
Yeah.
Most people aren't working. They're in a gap right now because I'm a college football fan. Imagine that. There's no college football's done, so my Saturdays are free. During college football season, my Saturdays are locked down.
Yeah.
I'm also a NASCAR fan. I'm not huge into their secondary series, but their secondary series runs on Saturday. A lot of people, if they want to go out, hit the clubs and bars, some people don't do it Friday night because it works. They go Saturday night, so it's like you're starting to fill up your Saturdays.
Yeah.
Is the juice going to be worth? Do you think the juice is going to be worth the squeeze to throw in these additional Saturdays? Because you look at the schedule, and we're going to hit a string of 2 to 3 Saturday nights in a row of wrestling.
Well, let's talk about it. Saturday Night Main Event. Whenever you were down last time, we watched it while we were drinking a beer at a bar.
Yeah. So the streaming advantage.
Yeah.
So it's on Netflix or not on Netflix.
Peacock.
Yeah. So that's an advantage that will exist. But again, right? We were at a bar. We couldn't hear it. We could see it.
But that, that's all that matters.
I mean, we go back and watch it the next day. I mean, and, shame on us as first world Americans watching an American company at a convenience, because for some, around the world, that's Saturday morning.
Yeah.
That's 2:00 in the morning in some places.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's a privilege thing that, I wholeheartedly acknowledge, but.
Oh, no, and we're learning that. We learned that very quickly last year with all the POEs, like the one in Australia where we had to watch Elimination Chamber.
Bro, I'm going to be real honest with you. For our first podcast, I want to call you out. You a sleepy son of a bitch. You slept through SmackDown, and you slept through the one in Australia.
I know, man.
I texted you like, are you asleep?
I know, dude. I'm worse.
Chump.
Yeah.
Chump.
I don't know. I think it'll be fine. We do have a couple of pay-per-views that are going to go, across the pond this year. They've already talked about France and all that again.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I don't mind when they're at noon, 1:00 in the afternoon. I really don't. Saturdays, generally, I'm able to get those days off so I can watch. But I don't like the ones that are in the middle of the night.
That's fair. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'll do it. Yeah, it's my weekend, right?
Yeah.
And then depending upon the situation, I may almost prefer that, because I was one of those guys when I'd go to the bar, right? Like whether I was, because I had a little part-time gig at a bar, so whether I was working at a bar or going out and drinking, the bar shut down, or it's get home somewhere between midnight and 2 a.m. I'd grab drunken McDonald's or drunken meals, and I'd sit on my couch and watch reruns of TV shows. So you're telling me that I just cut my drinking off 30 minutes to an hour earlier, swing through, get some chimkin nungies, and I get to watch wrestling for an hour or two? Like, okay, I'll buy that for a nickel. So
No, I could definitely see that. But I've never been that nightlife guy. So I'm
calling it again. One of the first 2 or 3 times we ever hung out, we literally stayed up till 4:30 in the morning.
Hey man, that was excitement. We kind of get to know each other a little bit, and we played Donkey Kong
Country, like
yeah.
throwback on it.
Yeah.
So your wife just stepped out again. Open kimono behind the scenes. The wives are sitting on the couch giggling at us. Your wife just stepped out, but I was thinking about this on the ride in the day. So again, even more behind the scenes. I live about 3 hours away. The first time, so we'll go down the rabbit hole one day of how we met and how. So
I honestly thought that was going to be our first podcast.
you got to give them a little taste of what we're about. I wanted to try and get everyone to tune in, but I was thinking about the first time we ever hung out without a purpose. When I say that, just us, like being friends. So my wife Megan and I, my wife Megan, we came down and spent the night with y'all the first time. I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for not being axe murderers, because we put a lot of trust, faith, and confidence in you and your family, right?
Well, we can flip that too. Thank you for not being axe murderers coming into our home, and then
Well, I mean, but like it's one of those weird things.
Yeah,
we're goofy. We got some weird quirks, but at the end of the day, that's null and void compared to the friendship. But it was just like as kids, right? Like you meet, play around the neighborhood, and then your parents. Like, you want to spend the night with your friends, so the parents meet and they talk. That's, obviously they got a kid, so, most parents feel safe, but it's like, as an adult, we don't have that safety net. My wife and I just full sent it, like, I guess we're going to drive 3 hours and go sleep at these people's house.
Yeah.
And that was, because we met at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. So how long was it before?
I think y'all came down, it was like a month, maybe a month and a half after. Because WrestleMania was in April, and then y'all came down, and it was just really starting to get hot. So, in the end of May.
Well, because you had your tree you were watering in the front yard.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but yeah. So I mean, so I mean, again, right? Like, I don't believe we're good people, but yeah. So that was. So thank you to you and your family, Nicole, especially for not being axe murdered. I'm not gonna say there's not a time where you've wanted to. I respect, because I'm a lot to handle, and we'll go down that rabbit hole. So, but yeah, so
no, man, y'all bringing y'all in and meeting y'all the way we did it's crazy, man. It's honestly been life changing for me, for Nicole, for my family as a whole. My kids love it all to death. Like,
I mean, all of our family is on the East Coast. Well, except for her dad. Her dad's a few hours south of here. But again, right, like, I call my family, and hey, I'm going, what are you doing? We're going to Brady and Nicole's. They've never met you, but they know who you are. I talk with my friends at work. I will go down and see my buddies in Texas. All the ones you met at WrestleMania, yeah. And what my work husband, as he's been called, my gym buddy and work husband, he so here we go. So this is where we're starting to head towards wrap up part of the show. My buddy Mike, he's my brother. I love him. We go to the gym, and that's where we have our chance to vent to each other, man to man. We talk about things and just do that unspoken man thing. We can sort of be vulnerable. Like, he dogs you. He's like, you want to see your fucking husband?
Yeah.
You want to see your brother? Like, he just lets it have it. And I think he's just jealous. I'm an ugly son of a bitch, so for me to pull a handsome devil like yourself, I think he's a little upset about it. But it's just so funny because he's another real down earth dude. But we were talking about splitting a cow. So spoiler alert, in case you ain't figured out, we're in the Midwest region. I'm not saying beef is cheap anywhere, but he's like, I wish I had a friend I could split a cow with. I was like, bro, just go out and make friends. Yeah. Fuck that, So it's talking about stuff like that. So you were well known amongst my family and friends and close network, and and some of those people, I think they're thankful that we have you. So obviously, when you get married, if your spouse or whoever is, I'm so glad you got married to them, or they'll bring, I'm so glad you married our son, daughter. But now, like, everyone's like, yeah, you had a rough week. Why don't you go down and see Brady? You need to get away, dog. So
that's awesome. Yeah, we feel the same. It's been incredible. This last however long it's been, 3 years at this point. So it's
man, time flies.
It's getting away from us.
That's out of control. So like I said, moving towards wrap up, we went a little long on this first one. I overdid it on the notes, and I think we could sit here another hour and a half. So something that I thought about, something fun. It's not going to be the same every week, but as a way to introduce ourselves to the audience, and then this is off the cuff, and I haven't even thought about it. I just literally thought about it, checking our notes and script. Right now, I'm going to put you on the spot. No particular order. I want you to tell, and I kind of already know most of these answers, but for everyone listening, right off the rip, no particular order, not a true rating, but give me, not your Mount Rushmore, but the top 5 wrestlers. Like when somebody looks at you and says wrestling, give me top 5 superstars right off the rip. Who you say, if you're going to watch a match, watch one of these guys. Who are they?
I've got Stone Cold.
Okay.
I've got Punk.
Okay.
I've got John Cena.
Okay.
I'm going to say The Undertaker. And that's 4.
I need to write that down because I'm going to kind of come back to that.
Okay.
So
and then
obviously my boy Steve, old Phil.
Yep.
Taker, and you said Cena, so you got one more.
Yeah, and probably throw a tag team in there. If I'm going to watch an old school,
I'll allow it.
That's
going to be 6. I know you're not good at math, but I'm married to a math teacher. Stay in school, kids.
Yeah. If I'm going to go and I want to watch a tag team match, I'm going to go back to like a classic Hardy's match.
Hardy's, okay. So that's an interesting take. So we're going to count a tag team as one. So again, I put you on the spot there, and it's not fair because I've kind of been thinking about it as you said it. And, to talk mine, obviously, we set these belts out for a reason. We've kind of thrown some of our social media stuff out there. You don't disrespect Steve. You're Stone Cold from back in the day, obviously.
Oh, no, absolutely.
But I have a whole thing for Steve Austin. And you got your thing for CM Punk. So I guess in a fair bout, unless you got a question or where in your head, we'll go to that. But obviously, if I had to do those same 5, pick one. I'm obviously going with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Really revolutionized the business. I would have to put Ric Flair in there. And the only reason I think that's a comfortable choice is because if you watch Flair, you're automatically going to see a lot of wrestling. You're going to see, because I want to put Dusty Rhodes on those, but you're going to get Dusty and Flair.
Oh,
you're going to get Flair and Steamboat. So I think that would get lumped kind of in with Flair. And same thing, like, I'm not going to put The Rock on this list because you're going to get the best of The Rock with Stone Cold.
Yep.
I have to put The Undertaker. He's obviously the icon of the WWE, the legend. Which, by the way, another fun fact, we'll dig into this story. If you think that I'm bad now, I'll talk shit to anybody. I talked shit to The Undertaker at the One Dead Man show, and Brady thought we were going to get kicked out.
Sit down, jackass.
Yeah, he told me to sit down, Jay. That's because he's a Texas fan. And just remember, this means 2 losses to Georgia. We just lost more viewers / listeners.
This is worldwide.
Hey, is what it is, ain't what it ain't. So like I said, I got Steve, I got Nate, I got Taker, and again, same thing. If you want to know who's who of the Attitude Era or the Ruthless Aggression Era, you're going to see them when you face against those 3. You know, my 4th singles wrestler, I mean, I'll admit I'm kind of struggling to think about it. And you did make a very good point about John Cena, but I kind of hate to do it. But again, I think at this point with mentioning Flair and Austin, I'd be remiss if I didn't put Hogan in there, because now you get Flair, Hogan, Austin, and you kind of see that transition. And Taker was there for Cena's run, so you're going to see Taker and kind of carry that forward. And just kind of keep with you threw a tag team in. I mean, I didn't even fathom putting those in there. Just from the aspect of it might spark curiosity, I think I'm going to put the APA.
APA would be fun.
Because again, I'm a Road Warriors dude at heart, because I think they are one of the greatest, if not the greatest tag teams of all time. They parallel the Dudleys. Well, the Dudleys parallel them. Let me correct that. The Dudleys in there. But again, if I say the APA, you're going to get that late run with, and I don't think they ever actually squared off, but you might catch the LOD 2000 kind of in the same area. But I just watched the Teddy Long 6 Feet Under podcast, and you know he said themselves those guys were great, and what you kind of really don't get an appreciation for them until now, and you see it, because then you see who's this Farouk guy? Oh, that's Ron Simmons. He's the first black champion. Who's this Bradshaw guy? He went on to become JBL. So I'm going to throw the APA in there. I think that's a fun one.
Yep.
So with that just a slight pull behind the curtain on that, we're going to move to close, man. So the first podcast, again, if you didn't catch the name of it right at the beginning, this is No Gimmicks podcast with JT and Brady. We don't know much, but we know gimmicks.
We know
and
gimmicks.
Damn if the wrestling world, especially WWE, ain't full of them. So,
I mean, hell, dude, the whole world. That's
well, if I walk up to someone and say gimmick, they're like, huh, what are you talking about? I didn't realize gimmicks was such a big thing until we met Stone Cold. Again, another story. You want to talk about a guy who still uses the language. You can't talk to Stone Cold for any amount of time and he not use some sort of wrestling lingo. He still ate up with it. But, so, with that, we're going to sign off for now. Again, go ahead and give this 2 count. We're going to go ahead and kick out of here. And hopefully we'll get y'all back next week for another edition of the No Gimmicks podcast. Keep the shiny side down. Keep the shiny side up, rubber side down. Sorry, been drinking tonight. We'll holler.